We've had a wonderful time here in Arizona and got to see a bunch of amazing things. And now it's time we have to go home. It looks like the shortest way is to grit our teeth and go right through Las Vegas. Everyone said that if you go through Las Vegas, it's a lot better if you can hit it on a Sunday. So Sunday morning, we're going right downtown Las Vegas on the freeway. The works of man are quite evident here as we go through Las Vegas. It's amazing how they could carve a city like this out of a barren desert. But right now our goal is to get out of Las Vegas and back out into nature again. We're just country people and not accustomed to city traffic and city driving, but I'll have to admit that it was very nice and everyone on the freeway was very courteous, and so we got right through Las Vegas without even having a horn honked at us or one of those loud mufflers coming up and nearly breaking your eardrums. We had none of that this time. So it was a pleasure going through Las Vegas. After Las Vegas, we'll go directly to Tonopah, and from Tonopah, we'll take Highway 6 east to Austin. That's a very good roads and not much traffic and a very pretty way to go, particularly since there's still snow on the mountain tops of the desert mountain. On Highway 6, after Tonopah, we encounter a little bit of snow on the mountain tops as we steady on Austin.
Austin, Nevada, was named for the capital of Texas. Austin was founded in the spring of 1862 as part of a silver rush triggered by a Pony Express horse who kicked over a rock. The rock contained 70% silver, and after a rushed assay, word spread of the immaculate find. Austin became so prolific the Nevada Central Railroad was built with its first connection to Austin via the Transcontinental Railroad at Battle Mountain. Ironically, the line came too late, and by that time Austin's amazing silver boom was nearly over. Major silver production ended by 1887. From 2022 to 23, employment in Austin, Nevada grew at a rate of 194%, from 16 employees to 47 employees. The most common employment sectors for those who live in Austin, Nevada are information, 19 people, utilities, 15 people, and transportation and warehousing, 13 people.
There's a hot springs just outside of Austin, and we're going to see if we can find it and go try it out for a little bit. We think we figured out the way to get to the hot springs at Austin, and the name of the hot springs is Spencer. We go down the paved road, turn off, and take a little dirt road for a ways out there. And on the way, we see a nice big buck antelope and a few does grazing away on the high sagebrush plains around Austin. He appears to be making a very good living out here. He's nice and fat. And then here's the rest of the crew coming up to him and He's rubbing that little black spot on his cheek is a scent gland, and he's rubbing it on the sagebrush just to let any other antelope that might come by here know whose territory it is as they graze through the high sagebrush plain. Then we look ahead, and here's somebody from the long-eared category. It's a herd of burros. There seems to be quite a few of them out here. And this one, there's going to be another burro pretty soon, it looks like. And so they're just grazing away. They can eat just about anything and get some good food value out of dry sticks or cardboard or whatever they can find. But it looks like there's pretty good feed out here in this sagebrush flat. We just kept on going past the little herd of burros, and then we looked off in the far distance, and it looked like a vehicle way out in the far distance. And so that must be where the hot springs are. So we're going to go up there and see if we can find the hot springs, which we did. And this is a very nice pool that even has a valve on it where you can shut it off and on and regulate the temperature a little bit. But it was a little bit muddy. It looked like it needed a darn good cleaning. And the deck around it is rotted out pretty well. But there's an overflow on it too, so there's water constantly going through it. And the temperature was to our liking. So we got in there and soaked a little bit. But this isn't, in my estimation, this isn't one of the better hot springs. I don't think I'd recommend it to anyone else. But there are several hot springs come out here, and they've put round stock watering tanks for you to soak in on some of them. So you have your choice. Next, we're going to go back through Austin and head on out toward home. But on the way through Austin, we noticed a real old-time cemetery. So we're going to stop. And the first known burial in Austin Cemetery was 1863, and by the end of the 1860s, fencing and other improvements were put around the cemetery. There seems to be a whole lot of very tall monuments in here, and some of them are tilted and tipped, and some of the graves have sunk in a whole bunch. So I think this cemetery deserves a second look. So we're going to walk across the road and take a look.
The Austin Cemetery is located about a mile northwest of the built-up part of town on the north side of the lower end of Pony Canyon at an elevation of just over 6,200 feet above sea level. U.S. Highway 50 runs through the cemetery east to west, and the junction of U.S. 50 and Nevada Highway 305 is located a short distance to the east. The cemetery is actually comprised of 5 cemeteries. Listed east to west, the Masonic and Oddfellows sections on the north side of US 50, and the Calvary, Catholic, and Citizens cemeteries on the south side of US 50. A 5th cemetery, the Indian Cemetery, is located west of the Citizens sections.
Before the Civil War, most of the burials were conducted in backyards and churchyards and on the farms at home. But after the Civil War, things changed, and the dead were shipped home from the Civil War, and also they developed embalming about that time, so it made it possible to ship bodies wherever you needed them shipped to. So cemeteries started springing up in various places. Is old enough. It was established in 1863, and the Civil War wasn't over till 1865, but we saw no graves that were marked Civil War veterans here, so maybe none of them were buried here, or maybe some of the unmarked graves could have been Civil War veterans, or maybe they just plain didn't mark them. And some of these stones are made of a white marble, and it's extremely difficult to read the writing on them. Although if you were to shade it and take some time, you can sort of figure out what it says. There's not a whole lot of information on these stones, but some of them have kind of an excellent record carved deeply into the white marble. In one corner of the Austin Cemetery is a stack of fencing taken up from around the individual graves to protect them from scrap metal thieves and vandals. But we notice a lot of these graves still have the individual fencing around them, and the reason for this individual fencing depends upon the person. Some thought that it was to keep the spirit of the dead from following you home, and others thought that it was to just simply to keep grazing animals and things from tramping and grazing around on the grave. I have seen these wrought iron fences around individual graves before, but never this many. This is an absolute fantastic cemetery. There's a lot of really huge grave monuments here, and I guess that reflects somewhat about the family's wealth and social rating back in the early part of the 20th century. I don't know why there's so many white marble grave markers here. It must be that was a trendy thing here at that time, or maybe there's other reasons. Maybe that's what was available. And some of the graves no longer have markers. Some places there are no markers, but you can tell where there's a grave because there's a sunken spot. I'm not sure where you can find the Indian graves. I may not have gone far enough to find them, or possibly they have no markers and you don't notice them, but there's plenty of graves here that are marked and have these beautiful wrought iron fences all around them. And this person died in 1900. The large angel gravestone is exceptional. It's very well done, and I'll bet that cost him a fortune at the time when it was made. And then there's lots. He was born 1836 and died in 1900. This section. This must be the Catholic section of the cemetery. As you're heading east, on the left side of the highway is something that says Calvary, and that is the Catholic section of the Austin Cemetery.
It's listed in great big letters, right?
$50.
Well,
this is in the Catholic part of the cemetery, and it is marked with great big wrought iron letters in an arch over the entrance to it that you can see right from the main highway. There's all different kinds of fencing used here around the graves, and this you can tell where the grave is by where it's sunk, and some of the markers are even tilting in various different directions from the grave settling. I talked to the guys that do the county maintenance, and they said they've got a little track hoe, and they dig all the graves here whenever someone dies, and I understand they're still using this cemetery to this day. It seems to be kind of a large cemetery for such a small town, but just the same, if you lose a couple people a year, it adds up over a lot of years. It appears like some of these people that are buried here still have family living in the area because they've done a lot of recent things to the graves here, while others, the whole little fenced off area is totally filled with wild rose brush that's turned gray with age. This good sturdy old wrought iron fencing will last a whole long time. Some of the cemeteries that are out in this kind of area have like ranch type symbols on the burial stones, but I don't see any of that right in this area. But down below on the east end I did see some which were definitely ranch burials.
This must be all Phillips in this family setting, and it looks like there still family around. They've got roses.
Cemetery gravestones here. It seems like people just plain live a little bit longer out here than most cemeteries, and I don't see a big rush of people.
And it looks as though there's been a well-weathered wooden fence around some here, and it has weathered away.
There's lots of history carved into the marble of these gravestones. If only we could read them better. It seems like that white marble is so soft that they wrote a little bit, but I think the things are still there. It's just that the shadows aren't right to be able to read them with ease. But this still must be the Catholic part of the cemetery.
Extraordinary.
There's so much history here in this cemetery, and with the modern internet now, it's possible to look up and find the whole story on a lot of these people that are buried in this historic old cemetery around the area, and so the wild roses are just totally...
This one has a wooden fence around it.
Right here. Some of the stones have actually broken off and fallen apart. This one against the fence. Maybe it fell down another direction and somebody just laid it this way. But anyway, that's what it's supposed to be in a real old
This stone is trying to collapse.
People probably don't have any relatives around. This grave is being taken care of very well.
You see any Civil War?
I wanted to look at this great big one. Just a second.
He was born in Massachusetts in 1833.
Yes.
and died in 1891. What about this one?
I don't know. His last name is Lester.
Okay.
It doesn't say. Oh, he's from Scotland.
He's a Scotchman, huh?
Yeah, Scotland. That's a pretty.
There's several that were born in Scotland and Ireland here in this, and maybe this is kind of a Scottish Irish community that was around here, and it has the fence around it as well.
Hey.
Oh, and the Mason symbol is on it. Wow, what an interesting graveyard. I've never really seen anything like this.
Gate.
Yeah, it's had a gate on it.
Yeah.
And when was he born?
October 10th, 1832. And he died in Austin, Nevada, April 28th, 1894. Wow. When my spirit was overwhelmed within me, then, O Lord, thou knewest my path. Williamson. He was a general. General J.R. Williamson.
Oh.
He was from South Carolina.
Oh, and he must have been a Civil War veteran then.
And look at the anchor here.
He was a general.
He was a general. That's why he's got such a... look at here, at the top. There's a finger that points up.
What does it say?
I'm something. Emma and James. This must have been their son. He died in his late 20s. This Clayton did. And he belonged to Emma and James. And they died in the 40s. Their son died before they did. See?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Whole family.
Yeah. A lot of these were probably early homesteaders living that very rugged life of a homesteader. And then before penicillin, there were all kinds of deaths from flus and everything else.
And his last name is John W. Agnor, Master Sergeant, U.S. Army, World War I, December 14th, 1890 to March 11th, 1970. John Agnor. And his parents were John and Edith. And from Lander County.
1967 to
1979. He wasn't very old.
No.
And Tony D.
These look to be ranch
He was
burials.
the same age I am.
Hmm.
He was born in 1943, and he died in 2011.
Hmm.
Schwinn. was the last name? Is it a Sergeant Major, U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Navy, World War II? Where's we coming?
I just saw a ground squirrel poke his head up right in this grave. Another collapsed fence. Been a lot of deer tracks running around here in the cemetery. Now these are just simple grave markers. This guy was in the U.S. Army in World War I. Oh, this was a PVC World War II. And that grave is sunk terribly. Must be the ground squirrels. Oh, and this one, Williams, Nevada. He was in the U.S. Army in World War I.
Richardson. This is mother. Age 75. Born in England. London, England.
Oh, that was the woman?
Mother. Eliza Cook.
And she was born in London, huh? How old were these sisters?
Oh, I see. This whole thing is for Mary Ellen. And then there's Miriam and Margaret. The Haynes sisters. Wow, they sure got a big lot of stuff going on.
Say,
Yeah, that's what it says. James Monroe, Yancey.
this woman was born in New York City. What does this say?
I don't know. Williams. Right. Joan and Philip. His name is Lawrence. 1897. Hugo.
He was in the Korean War.
U.S. Army, World War II. January 8, 1922 to July 24, 1991. William Lewis Brand.
This must be a rancher here. and more ranchers. There's apparently been a fence around this one.
This was only 2019. They didn't do a very good job. They're
Yeah,
gonna have to come back and
refill it.
up.
Yeah,
Everything's sunk.
yeah.
Slim.
Yeah, they must have been
There's a
ranchers.
bunch of hoopers.
Yeah,
Charlie, Nevada, PFC, U.S. Army, Korea, May 31st, 1929. He was born and he died November 29th, 1968.
okay. Grader, and it says Austin on it.
It is now time we need to start heading north. It'll be well after dark by the time we get into where we're going tonight. We're going to our daughter's property in the southeast corner of Oregon to spend the night, and then the next day we can drive in home real easy.
Well, we made it to our trailer house out in the shadow of the Steens Mountain, and there's a few clouds in the sky and a little wind blowing this morning. Our windsock is still up there whipping. The sun's coming up nicely. Might not be too bad a day, but